Goeienaand, good evening fellow South Africans and citizens of the world. And I want to start this video by just reading out to you what Marcus sent me earlier tonight. And he says, "Good day. I've been watching your videos for quite some time now and love getting the truth as it is. I felt I had to comment on the fact that the whole world is turned upside down because of George Floyd's untimely death due to abuse of authority. Even on the kids' social media platforms, profiles scream the slogans, 'Black Lives Matter.' Well, according to me, all lives matter, and I totally concur with that." He says, "What confuses me greatly is that the incident in South Africa where a black citizen, Collins Khoza, was manhandled and severely assaulted by the South African army and succumbed of his injuries, is hushed up and put to bed. Khoza was sitting in his own yard drinking beer when more than 2 soldiers attacked him. An innocent man was murdered by black soldiers, and yes, the soldiers were charged and there is a murder case, but there was no rise of any riots and no demonstrations against the South African Defence Force, as is the situation in the US. Is this because a white policeman was the perpetrator causing Floyd's death? And in South Africa, black soldiers brutally assaulted an innocent black man in his own backyard? It feels as if the black communities of the world only play the racism cards when it suits them. Was the policeman who caused Floyd's death black, none of these unrests and mindless vandalism and looting of business in the US would have taken place. There is even word that the ANC wants to get involved in the matter. But back at home, white farmers are brutally tortured and murdered on farms daily, and nobody says or does anything about it. The atrocities just carry on, regardless of a few organizations trying to get out the word and ask for help. Once again, there is this idea that the racism and hate cards are being played when one black person is killed by a white policeman who abuses his power, but it is not worth to stand up and protest against black soldiers murdering a black citizen in South Africa." I totally agree. And there are 2 factors I'd add to this. The mainstream media, fake news, with their own narrative, they're pushing exactly what you're talking about here. And the second thing is, and this is far more sinister, is Open Society Foundation, or George Soros, who is the funder of Antifa and Black Lives Matter, the 2 organizations most involved in stirring up the violence and the rioting happening right now in America. Now, Trump has declared Antifa a terrorist organization, and it's about time Soros saw the inside of a prison cell, because that's where he belongs, and all his money should be confiscated. It should be taken off him as proceeds of terrorism, and it should be put to good use during this lockdown to help businesses recover. That's what should be going on in America today. Now, as it comes to George Floyd, let me show you his criminal record. Get to understand, this fellow is not a clean skin. He has got a criminal record as long as your arm. Let me show you. Okay, George Floyd's criminal record starts in 1997 with possession of drugs. And then in 1998, theft from a person. 1998, another theft from a person. Now these are where he's actually been caught. So you can imagine he was probably stealing quite widely. In 2001, failure to identify to the police as a fugitive. 2002, possession of drugs. 2003, trespass on a property. 2004, again, possession of drugs. 2005, possession of drugs. And then the cracker. In 2007, aggravated robbery with a deadly weapon, which is the one that this woman is talking about. So this fellow, yeah, I know these happened a few years ago, but look, he certainly wasn't some nice, good, clean, living man. When he was when they did an autopsy on him, they found that he had illegal drugs in his body. So he was stoned, is what we're saying. Now, I want you to compare George Floyd to a white farmer who was murdered by black thugs just a few days ago in South Africa. Compare this white farmer's track record to this criminal's track record that everybody is making such a noise about. Okay, you might or might not have heard of the case of Ruloff, a doctor from the Tulbagh community in the Western Cape. Well, he was murdered on Monday. This Monday just passed, at 6:45 p.m. on Schalkenbosch Road in Tulbagh. Now, this fellow was a doctor. He was a community doctor, and he had an incredibly good reputation. He had a family. He had he was a loving family man. He wasn't on drugs. He wasn't breaking into people's houses. He was actually performing community service by helping people through his position as a doctor. But what happened to him? Well, a couple and their children found Botha's body about 400 meters from his home. He was reportedly rumored to have been murdered with a panga. Murdered with a panga. This is a white guy who was murdered by black thugs. It was discovered he had been stabbed with a sharp object. We arrested the 4 suspects on Tuesday and found a shotgun, watch, wallet, and a jacket, police reportedly said. Community activist at the Witzenberg Justice Coalition, Winston Peterson, told the Cape Times residents were in shock after learning of Botha's murder. Peterson said, "He was a very good doctor and also helped patients who needed help with disability grants at the clinic. He was a very kind man. We as a community would like to see that justice is served." Van Wyk told News 24 the police's investigation has led to the arrest of the 4 people aged between 20 and 35 on a charge of murder. Detectives are following up on all leads and the investigation continues, he said. In a tribute published by Network 24, Botha's daughter, Lore, described him as the salt of the earth. Lore wrote, "He was a legend. He was a hero who went out of his way to help his patients and community. He went above and beyond to help people and to save lives." Van Wyk said anyone with information about the incident should contact Crime Stoppers. Now, compare that white farmer who was actually in one of his pens with zebra when he was attacked by these 4 black thugs. Now, compare him to George Floyd. And yet the media around the world don't touch the story about Botha, do they? Because it's black on white violence. Does not fit their racist fake news narrative. Consider the severity and the death that this innocent white man went through at the hands of people with pangas. I mean, that's an appalling way to murder someone. A bullet is so much quicker. Then you take George Floyd. Yeah, he was held down. But look at his criminal record. It speaks for itself. Breaking into a pregnant woman's house and threatening her baby by holding a gun against her stomach. You know, that sort of person is being glorified in America by Antifa and Black Lives Matter and people like that, while Botha doesn't rate a mention. Now that is inequality in reporting. That's why the mainstream media are fake news. And consider Khoza, that innocent black man who was murdered in his backyard by black South African Defence Force members during the lockdown. Once again, no mention of that, is there, in the mainstream media? Okay, you got the story. Because a white person is involved, it's huge news. Fake news around the world. All right, guys, please remember to subscribe to be kept informed. Ring the bell for the updates. Please like this video. Please share this video. And above all, please stay safe.